Hey guys, what's up? This is Verticulture Studio. I'm Gianna Angela, and I'm here with Dominic Giannetti and Kody Newton.
Cody with a
Cody is
K.
our Cody with a K. Cody is our special guest today. Cody, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a filmmaker based out of Boise, Idaho, of all places. You know, I always dreamed of doing films, but I never thought it was an actual option unless you went to Hollywood. And now it just has completely changed everything for me. 10 years ago, I went professional on the filmmaking side, and I have been doing independent film since. And I travel the country shooting movies for other people. That's where we met. But I also direct my own, and I have worked with you guys in both fashions as a DP and as a director. It is what I love to do, and nothing is going to stop me from doing it.
Amazing. And I think we say this probably every week, but we all come from the horizontal world, and none of us are giving that up yet. What's great is the vertical that we just shot together with Kody was our first vertical together. I've worked, I guess I could say, involved with 2 movies prior to that. I was involved with A Hard Place. Also, Kody came down and shot Startup Love for us. And then shortly after, we got Kody back down here to sunny South Florida, and Kody got to direct and shoot Runaway Angel. It was my first vertical, I believe Gianna's first vertical, but I believe it was Kody's second. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just helped out with another one. It wasn't one that, I didn't really think about it before then, but once I dove into it and was directing it, man, what a fun world to be in, especially now because the possibilities are kind of endless.
The reasons why Gianna and I wanted to start this podcast was I always tell people I feel like the microdrama, vertical, whatever space you want to call it, is new. And I feel like half of it's been figured out and the other half is a blank canvas. And getting people that have been seasoned into this for a couple years now, or people that are fairly new like ourselves into this, it's great because we're learning through doing, and we're also, I believe, hopefully help creating part of what is to come in this space. I said in a previous podcast to Gianna how when we were on the set of the vertical, when Kody first turned the monitor sideways, now we know what's happening. We know we're shooting a vertical. We know it's going to be vertical. Kody turned the monitor vertical, and I looked at it, and just like these things went through my head. We're like, oh, wow, this is a new canvas. This is a new way to create art. This is not just some little thing that people are doing and throwing on phones. This is an art form that has a whole new world of discovery.
So what kind of changes in the storytelling for being the DP and the director, when you were framing vertically instead of horizontally, were challenges or things that you liked better?
Well, first of all, when I first tried it, I was a second camera operator, and I was gaffing also on that. And it took a second to really let it sink in. And the way that I imagined it was, if I have my phone and the lock screen, there's kind of an art to the lock screen of what you could have on there, And so I just thought of that as how I was going to make a composition. I mean, even just how we are right now, the human form is meant for more of a vertical mode. I shoot a lot of anamorphic stuff, and you have to have a world behind that person in order to show it right. But with vertical, I mean, you can place them anywhere. And that's what I really learned with the framing was it's more about the writing and performance than it was the actual composition of things. One of the biggest frustrations I had is to have 2 people next to each other. They have to be almost kissing sometimes. But on Runaway Angel, we learned how to manage that. Okay, we just shoot them full body, and then they're standing close to each other, and you can have those 2 shots. It actually became second nature to get a 2 shot or get 4 shot. You just stack people in the right places. They don't have to be running around. They don't have to be doing crazy things. You're looking for the next argument or the next, slap or whatnot. You don't have to do these long oneers or anything like that. Verticals just aren't built for that. I think it was interesting, especially on Runaway Angel, because I started to really find beauty in the actual vertical form where I didn't really ever think that before. I mean, I've always been the shoot landscape mode, don't shoot portrait mode, just because, even with my family, because I show things in theaters a lot. And for it to be just straight up and down, it just didn't make any sense. But when you actually see it like you could in the monitor, there really was a beauty to how you could I don't know if you remember, there's a shot that I did where there's a computer right here. We we have our heroine, our hero right in the middle, and then we had Gianna, you back in the back
Yeah, that was
lurking,
awesome show.
and you were in a different color and she was wearing blue, but you could just see
Mhm.
the composition of the actual vertical and how it worked. So finding those things, knowing how to use the lenses properly, how to, do zooms and really speak to what the face can do when it's in this vertical mode was very exciting for me.
So do you think it's harder on the actor or on, say, the DP or the director with how they want the shot versus how the actor is portraying the character and like holding up the story?
I feel like there's more room for the actor to play. I mean, it's because in this space right here, you can let the emotion happen close. It can be more intimate versus, like I said, if you're in this wide mode, this anamorphic mode, you are wanting to look everywhere else. But no, I mean, if I fill up the frame like this, even like just like this, you can just be there with me. So I don't think it's harder for the actor at all. In fact, I think it simplifies the whole process because you want to block everything a certain way. You want to try and do a Scorsese shot when you're shooting, independent films. Everybody thinks they're young Scorsese or Tarantino or whatnot. But really, it just simplifies the process. And then, hey, here's your mark. Guess what? You don't have to move from that mark. You can deliver all your lines and have fun with it.
To elaborate on what you just said, simplifying the process, as a DP part of this industry, was it a lot easier to light these scenes, having that the actors are taking up 85% of the real estate most of the time? And did that make things quicker? Is that why they're cranking these out so much faster?
To me, it's much easier to light just because if you see it, even my light right now, I know it's blasting off this desk, but I could put a light right here next to their face and have a very strong soft light right next to them that could be, even just if I'm going to grab, if I took this, it's just a white bounce card and I put it underneath me. It's like right there, but you can see it in my eyes. So to me, it's easier, but I know quick lighting. I know how to light things very, very well. Rarely was I looking for the shot where it was someone like really low in the frame, and then we couldn't light them above. There's only a few times when I went for an artistic shot like that. But most of the time they were like establishing shots or, rarely did I do it with actors. So it's great for Boom also because they can just go right there.
That's true. Sound was loving it. It's like, wow, get this close. That's amazing. One of the questions that I'm really interested in is a lot of people that I talk to it's the conversation, they're shooting their first vertical, right? Mm-hmm. And they're asking me, should I shoot it vertical or horizontal and then crop so I have both? And I don't think there's a right answer. I think there's a pros and cons to both. I guess I would say the one thing is the beauty of vertical is to get them done quick, fast out, is to shoot vertical and shoot more pages in a day and get these out faster. However, you're missing out on an entire revenue stream because if you shoot horizontal, you can still figure out how to crop into a vertical format. You can't really shoot vertical and then squeeze it out to a horizontal later, unless AI perfects in a couple of years and allows us to do that. But what are your thoughts and opinions on that? And I'm only asking because I get asked this question daily right now from people.
Well, that is a good question for me. Here is the thing. Verticals are verticals from the script, not necessarily from the actual format that you are shooting. Because, it could be anything. But if you have an inciting incident, a twist or something, every single minute of your film, it's not going to fit right in the theater. So it's almost like asking, hey, should I shoot this, IMAX Dolby Digital for my YouTube video? My unboxing video. No, that doesn't make sense. Why would you shoot an IMAX camera for that? It's not cross compatible to me. And there's gonna be TVs. These are meant to be on phones, but TVs on mounts. You can just switch them, or you have an automatic button where you can switch it and you can watch it on the TV. I think it'll eventually get to that. Just one of the studying the verticals. One of the struggles I had was it was hard to share it with other people. We couldn't community watch it, which I didn't love. We watched the first 15 episodes, but then I had to get a phone emulator for my computer to be able to watch it on the TV together, So I think that a lot of that stuff will figure itself out with the market. I think there's some interesting things, but this is essentially YouTube in 2008. And from the script, where vertical is a vertical. So I personally just shoot it vertically. It was so much easier to. The other one that I shot was, we shot it horizontally with open gate, which is a square at least. But do you know how hard it was to get just a full body shot? You had to find your widest lens, and then you had to back up way farther. And then plus, if you want to light this space right here, right? So if you're going to do both, you're messing up both versions, because you can't light for both. So because we shot Runaway Angel, I am 100% on the side of shoot it vertical. And then honestly, if you wanted to frame it out like this, okay, that's fine. You can do that. But it's meant to live in that world from the script. So, and it's not, it's weird to think, oh, well, this could be a theater production also. No, I mean, it's not going to have a theatrical release because it's meant to be monetized per episode and whatnot. So you just aren't going to find that in the theater.
With acting, having the monitor like vertical, because it's so like different for us of seeing like how my posture should be, how close my face is, how much I can like move my eyes and move my hands. It really helped because I'd never seen myself vertically on a monitor. So I didn't really know how to like physicalize. And with all the slapping and all the movement and all just everything, like it was a lot more physical than any other film job that I've done. So I was really like, oh, how do I gauge this? So even just seeing it on monitor.
Because you played a bad baddie.
it took away a lot of my anxiety of being able to like see it and like be able to visualize it before doing it.
And we had the bigger screens. We had a 15-inch monitors vertically. That's even bigger than the phone. Then it's going to be viewed on. So it's definitely fun to see that way. But yeah, I would 100%, even as a DP for all different things, for sure, shoot it vertically.
How was it directing the vertical, knowing that a lot of the performances are going to be different and have to be different, right? To make the space work, the over-the-top animated, theatrical, whatever performance you want to call it, that works well in this vertical space. I'm sure actors have a ton to say on this, but as a director, was there ever a moment where you had a take and you were like, oh, that was such a good acting, but no, that's not right?
You remember there were moments when, hey, she's supposed to be sad about certain things, but there's a lot of conflict in these verticals. There's something that goes wrong every minute. So yeah, we could be crying every minute if we needed to. But I told my lead actress, hey, you have one moment in this whole, 70 episode vertical series to have, you have one time. We have one time to make that actually a grounded cry and whatnot. And together we picked that one moment it was going to be, and we made sure that it was going to be a real moment. The other times, it feels like a character. The way I said it is we're playing a version that foreigners think we are. It's kind of fun to live in that space. If you think of it as like an SNL skit, we're in a Korean drama, but we're Americans in the way that they think that we are. If you think about it that way, it takes away the seriousness and the pressure of the acting, I think. And I think that's what I really liked about directing it. It was I could share the vision of what the actual feeling of the episode was supposed to be instead of, hey, this is what the actor's supposed to be. They could feel, Gianna, for you, for example, how many times you got slapped one time, and that was a fun day for sure. But I know it was like, all right, ready? You're going to fall, and I'm just going to crash zoom on you. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. And you feel the impact of, and I explained to you, these audience has a relationship with your character, and it's building a tension inside of them. They want a release. And so instead of it just being, how dare you, I was like, let's give them a big release where your character is just laid out flat. It was so fun to do. But when you think about it that way, right, you're taking yourself out of the actor mode and my performance and everything in my performance, and then you're sitting in the audience with them and seeing your character who they are going to be in their mind. And I think that's really exciting with some of this stuff, because it's just right there. You can see it. You don't have to hide behind the subtext of things. In the verticals, they're literally saying who they are. They're thinking to themselves, well, I'm a billionaire, but I cannot tell anybody that because, I have to make myself, I came from a wealthy family. I tried to make myself, they literally say it. And it makes it so easy for people to love that character or hate that character, but really build that tension. And then that release of tension or, that kiss, that slap, that comeuppance. Man, it's fun to do that, I think.
I love the whole approach of these where, and maybe I'm just old and out of touch, the term doom scrolling. I hope that's still a thing. But doom scrolling where people are late night. I feel like a lot of people will just go through and get addicted all of a sudden. Like, I'm going to go to bed. And then they get on their phone. It's like 2 hours later. You're like, oh my goodness. To me, to your point earlier, Kody, about it, I feel a little bit loss of the communal experience, but I think some of the success of these verticals, microdramas, is that it's almost like you got somebody sent you a video and you're kind of watching it and you shouldn't be, or you know what I mean? There's a little bit of like this, like, there's a great saying. I was talking with Garrett earlier today and he's like, yeah, no, I just we're talking about microdramas and verticals. And he's like, but Dominic, I have one question for you. Who's watching him? Right? Because we know who the audience are in the targeted demo. And of course, Gianna's at the top of that mountain. But a lot of people don't admit they're watching these and don't want to say it.
Nuh-uh. Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not anymore. I've watched on people like on their phones and I'm like, what are you watching? Oh, a vertical. I'm like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
And now it's, hey, which one are you watching? Did you see
Which
the
episode?
one with the cowboy? Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, I did.
Every script I'm writing, page 40 is going to have the cowboy arc, where a cowboy comes in and just disrupts everything. It's going to kill the lead.
Speaking of cowboys, how do you feel about like genre changes in the microdramas? And would that be something like you would be down to explore as like a DP and a director, like getting a new script or a new genre?
So if you think about it as like, hey, this is YouTube in 2008, and the people are saying, well, YouTube is this. This is what it's going to be, so we should do this. That's the thing. You can't listen to those people. It is going to be what you make it to be. And the people who are going to really excel are the people who find those little niches and those little things where it wasn't planned for verticals to be this way, but it is, and it will be, and whatnot. So I love the exploration of doing different things. I have a lot of, different ideas of things that I would want to do, because if you're talking about guilty pleasures or you're talking about, doing other things in the vertical space, I mean, there's so much to explore. And I think everyone wants to jump on what is working because it gives you a return, but they're not looking at what it really could be. Yeah. And goodness, YouTube has built billionaires at this point, which is crazy. Mr. Beast was a game show host, really, is what he became. He just hosted game shows. But then everyone saw that, oh, well, you can do game shows on YouTube. And it's like, well, no, there's people playing video games on YouTube those were some of the biggest ones. And people just watching them. It's a lot easier to do. And people couldn't understand that for the longest amount of time. But millions and millions of subscribers later, they are the ones who figured out what it could be. And that's where we are with the vertical space, especially when you're talking genre stuff. I mean, if you haven't seen it, then there's a possibility that it could work. You just have to find out what that thing would be. And then the most important part, act on that thing and execute it.
I'm also quite interested to see, like, if the genre changes, how the audience would change. Like, would it be the same demographic of people that are watching the microdramas? Or is it just because it's there and on your phone and it's easy? Or is it because of the genre?
I think it expands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That seems like what would happen is, the audience is going to expand. Right now, I think they have the audience figured out. The middle America, 18 to 40-year-old, whatever it is, 50-year-old women that are kind of watching it in privacy, much like how, these started out from the novels that they were reading, these romance novels became, the verticals. All the big apps right now, like Real Short included, they had their site where people were fan writing their own novels and these seductions and everything. So that it morphed into that, as far as I've heard. But what I find very interesting in the buzz that I've been hearing, and I kind of, who knows whether it happens or not, and I'd love your thoughts on it, is Hollywood is trying to figure out how can we get in this space. They're clearly not going to make these, degrading women like borderline smutty type things that are taken off right now. So they're toying around with the idea of taking existing IP and a fourth lead or fifth lead in a show that people like take Mean Girls, for example, make a whole vertical based off Damien and Damien's the main character, right?
Yeah.
So there's talk
Wow.
of studios pursuing that approach to see if that takes off in this space. But what do you guys think of that?
Well, all the success in Hollywood has been IP based. So, I mean, now you can't get anything. I mean, we celebrate so much stuff when it's like, oh, it's an original film. Thank goodness it's an original film. Yeah, there's only been like 5 that have cracked the top 10 in the last 10 years that have been original stuff. And so, yeah, IPs are going to sell like crazy. You could even take, for example, I mean, if you wanted to do a fan film of something and then just offshoot it enough that it's not that exact thing, I mean, I think there's a lot of possibilities for that. I mean, even if you sat back and said, I mean, me, for example, because I'm not technically a demographic of what they're looking for, but if I thought, hey, what vertical I would watch? Oh, I would love to watch an anime style, like action vertical where, oh, he has 40 ninjas to get through. And you know that from the beginning, right? He says, hey, 40 ninjas stand between me and your true love. Now I know every 1, 2, 3 episodes is going to be a fight with a different ninja. Now that is like, all right, you got me, guys. This is going to be interesting because each ninja is going to be different. And then, I mean, anime's done that a little bit where it's just like, oh, the creativity could just be off the wall. It could be whatever you want it, who knows? Especially if you played it into what we know as the vertical space where, oh, the third ninja on the turn is it's a billionaire woman that he falls in love with. That's the third ninja. Who knows? And that's how they hook you. They hook you like that. But you just have to think to yourself that type of stuff. The problem with Hollywood, and I do have to tell you, is they're just so expensive. They think that their craft is worth so much money, and that is what is going to kill verticals. We don't want to see $200 million vertical series. People are not there for that. I'm sorry. They'll go to the cinema for that, and that's fine.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm even getting nervous about hearing people starting to spend $2 million plus on these verticals. I think part of the success of these truly is the fact that they're going in. The average cost of a vertical, as far as I know, is $150 to $250. That seems to be the average for these bigger platforms. And I think it's a formula that works. To make something for $5 million in this space, I don't see where that business model works.
If you think about it as the blockbuster mentality, right? Yeah, you could make 10 for $5 million each. All you need is 1 to make $100 million, and that pays for them all. So if there's that, I mean, and there's verticals making millions and millions and millions of dollars. So it is a bet that they could make technically to do that. But to me personally, part of the guilty pleasure of some of these verticals is there's a warmth and a campiness to how they're being filmed. You see like this model who's acting as this werewolf billionaire, and it's like he is completely checked out, and you have to see how far he gets on his line delivery. So it's just so bad. I think that's a part of the fun of it.
That
If it
is the
was,
fun.
yeah, if it's taken so seriously to spend $10-20 million, then I think it takes away from the fun of what an actual vertical is.
We've lost the plot if you do that. Like, we're done. We're done.
And what makes me nervous too is when these do get elevated, which they will to a degree, hopefully, but not too much. People going to start to think, oh, I can make a better vertical with better acting and better artistic approach. Is that going to tank this industry? Or is that going to now become a new way to make these? And we don't know, I guess. Filmmaker and all of us hopes that does happen in this space because it's a lot of fun. It's a great space to work. I had a lot of fun being on set for one of these, and I would love to continue it. And I plan on continuing it, but I would also like to elevate it a little more. The scripts, the formula, I believe, can stay the same. That's, to me, is the secret sauce. These cliffhangers, the reveals, the hook right in the first 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But I think if we could find a way to elevate these where they're, the filmmakers that are coming into this space are just enjoying the art form of it as much as the business side of it, I think that's going to be the way that it's elevated and keep people like us involved, hopefully, in this industry so we don't run back to horizontals.
For sure.
That being said, none of us here are giving up horizontals. Make that clear, because I get made fun of a lot that I've sold out and went to vertical space, and I'm like, no.
We love Brian. He's making a horizontal as we speak right now.
He is. He's like, once comedy becomes popular in the space, he thinks that'll be his entry to this.
Oh, comedy is thriving in this space.
The entire script is comedy. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I see your point. And to be honest with you, I kind of floated that idea with Brian when he started filming his. I'm like, why don't you kind of frame it out to also make it a vertical? Because even though it's not the proper script and they're, like what you were saying before, the vertical's on the page before it's on the screen, but
there is something about romanticizing the original film look. It's worked for 100 years, so he can do it that way also. But it also doesn't change the fact that most scripts could become a good vertical. I mean, it would, honestly, if you thought about it in a way to make it into a vertical, it's going to make it a better script because it's going to be quicker moving. You're going to have set pieces. You're going to have more defined characters. You're going to have all kinds of things. So I suggest, my friends are kind of struggling with this right now because they had a feature film script for a long time. And then they thought, oh, well, let's do this as a vertical. That'll be fun to take these characters and really punch them up every minute and whatnot. And then they wrote it as a vertical series and sent it to one of their professional, script doctors. And he read it and he was like, oh, wow, this would make a great feature film. And they're like, come on, what do you want here? What do you want? But there's something to the inciting incidents and the character definition that I think is really fun. So I actually think they're going to go back to the feature film space just because they romanticize it so much. And there's nothing wrong with that. But hey, guess what? Just make sure you have that vertical on the side note that can never be a feature film, right? And those are the fun ones to explore because they always become so much more than you ever expect them to be. You never know. The reason I'm saying that is anime for so long has been on TV, and now they're releasing in theaters, and it's blowing up. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is one of the biggest movies of the year. So what if they did do, vertical episode or vertical series, even just a three-night, event, Fathom event? It's really interesting to explore that because the theater, it is big enough you can watch it just fine. You don't have to have a vertical theater. I mean, IMAX even better. I don't think we're going to go into the IMAX, but they haven't explored that yet. I mean, how interesting would that be? Just think about we're in the theater and the pins and needles that you're on every single time. And, when the cowboy comes in and is going to kill our lead actor, but to do it together, it's hard to actually define what it could or could not be. But the real secret sauce with everything is go experience the verticals for yourself and go find the value that you have for them and then go really explore those things. Because once you can go copy other people and see what they're doing a million different times. But when you go, man, why was I so hooked on that? Well, this is why. And then let me just take it my own way and with my own characters and make, and there's really no shame in exploring the vertical space.
To that point, I don't know if you guys heard, I think it just happened yesterday, the day before it was announced that I forget which app, I don't want to butcher this, but I believe it was Candy Jar, if you guys have heard of that platform. That app, Candy Jar, we've all heard of it. We love Candy Jar. Yes.
I'm very familiar.
So what I was reading is that an actual original vertical that did very well on this platform has been picked up in their Hollywood, whichever studio picked it up, and they're now turning it into an actual movie. And that's the first one that I've heard of that is now saying, Hollywood saying, oh, great, this was so successful as a vertical. We want to acquire the horizontal rights and reshoot it. So it's not like they're going to screen it. They're going to reshoot it into a horizontal version.
It's because it's an IP. It has found a market. So they are exploiting that market.
Which more will happen. I'm sure this will be the first of many.
Especially with all these actors that are up and coming that are like in book every other day.
I think that's important to see, right? Because their brand and they are their own IP. So I mean, think about Jackie Chan in the 90s. I mean, in the 80s, he kind of made his movies in Hong Kong, cinema, and he did whatever. But once he went international, he completely blew up. And what an opportunity for some of these actors to be known internationally and to use your own brand to be able to do whatever you want. I mean, you could build your socials, you could travel places, you could do all kinds of different things brought to you by this vertical market that is just shaking up everything. It's super exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so cool as an actor. I want in so bad. It's so
Mhm.
cool. It's so interesting to see how these people are just like booked every other like day.
Yep.
And you'll see it on their TikTok. I mean, the campaigns of the lead woman and man is crazy on TikTok. Like they're posting every other day. They take a
Mhm.
week out of filming just to do PR. Like it is
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, it's morphing into the Hollywood system. It truly is. So we're launching Vertical Festival, and I was telling Gianna I was watching one of the submissions, which was actually a documentary about some vertical convention that they did, where these stars of these vertical stars showed up, and seeing the audience react the way that we would normally think this is how women would, teenage girl would react to Leonardo DiCaprio walking in the room, right? This is how these fans are reacting to these vertical stars that essentially nobody knows, unless you're really in that space right now, who they are or what their names are, but they're becoming stars within themselves and in this whole system. It's very interesting to watch.
Hollywood should listen. That is the
Yes.
thing. It's like if they have a built-in IP, a built-in brand, I mean, how great is it that, okay, once you put them in your whatever movie you're making, I don't know, the next Kung Fu Panda, I don't know, but people are going to want them. They're going to want that integration. So I think it's pretty important for the whole industry, to pay attention.
Absolutely. It reminds me of 5 years ago when we were casting, I won't mention names, but when we were casting influencers to be in a movie. And a lot of my friends were like, are you insane? Why are you doing that? But now in today's world, they'll be like, are you getting influencers? Make sure you get
It's a
some
norm.
influencers.
My mom follows me. That's all that matters.
Yes. And our 3 moms are the ones listening to this podcast.
Oh,
so
my
we're
goodness,
grateful
yeah.
for each and every one of them. Yes. Actually, I don't even know if my mom listens.
My mom
Well,
listens to this.
one thing about this podcast, we're vertical, but this is a horizontal. What are you doing here?
It's funny because I actually had that thought when I was releasing this on YouTube, and I talked to a few people and I'm like, wait, should I release this as a vertical, the whole podcast, the whole episode? And people are like, no, because people are still watching these on their laptops, on their, and so what we do is we release the little snippets, the shorts, if you will, vertical, but then when we release the full episode, we are still releasing it horizontal. So does that make us a sellout? I don't know. But I watched other people's
No.
vertical podcasts and they're all horizontal. So it's very shape confusing.
Well, I mean, technically it's a podcast, so it's not.
Yes.
vertical.
Yes. Very true. Very true. And like Jake said, the next big thing is going to be diagonals. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't wait for
Verse.
those.
yeah.
I experience
Verse.
those when I sleep at night.
Thing that people are the most misguided in vertically with vertical films, what people kind of misunderstand about the community of filming things. Because I know a lot of people say things like, it's not adequate acting. Oh, you're doing verticals? Like, oh, yeah.
I think in general, it's all the same thing, right? It's just it's creating some kind of visual media. So to think one is better or less than the other, I think is silly, especially when most of the time these are people who are just like, hey, they're just looking for a paycheck to get by. I mean, why does it matter how you're shooting it? It doesn't matter. Just go do that thing, and you should definitely appreciate the art for what it is. I mean,
Absolutely.
like I said, it's YouTube in 2008. Oh, you're just doing YouTube? Oh, okay. I guess that's one thing. But no, people are producing very high quality things on YouTube at this point, where if you said, hey, I'm working for Mark Rober or, Mr. Beast, people are like, holy cow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And look how far YouTube's become. Number one
Oh, yeah.
platform, right? Watch.
Yep.
And now home of the Oscars in about 2 years when they make the switch exclusively on YouTube, which
Thank
is
goodness.
insane.
Are they getting rid of commercials? Oh, man. Commercials,
really
like every
so.
award.
Did you happen to see the Oscars this year when they were saying what they hope the commercials don't become, and they were doing those like real funny commercials during, it's like the Oscars, and then be like those crazy commercials in between.
It's
It
funny.
was funny. Yeah. Kody, I have a question for you. So what advice would you give to a young filmmaker, whether it be DP or director, both, that has never made a vertical, never stepped foot on a vertical set, and they want to go out and make their first vertical? What would be the basic or beyond information advice that you could give to them before they go out and try it blindly?
You got to consume, Marty. You got to consume. You have to go experience verticals for yourself and understand why. I mean, imagine you're a filmmaker and you've never seen a movie in the cinema before. Like, why would you ever even like try and do that? Go experience it for yourself, and you're going to find value in the things. You're going to find, hey, I am reacting a different way about these. I mean, they're paywalls. You hit that paywall and you go, man. Well, unless you're paid up on, you know, the monthly stuff, whatever. But I started to hit those paywalls and I go, man, I have to find out what's going to happen. Boop. All right, $15. All right, we're going to finish this thing. Oh, $15 wasn't enough. Shoot. Boop. All right, we're going to keep going, you know? And you're going to learn why people are going to do that, why there's value in it. And if you can get hooked, or if you can just see what it is they're doing, then you're going to be passionate about it. And then you will know what you want yours to be and how it's going to make it different and how it's going to progress the vertical industry or whatnot, you know? So I personally think it's very inviting because now you can see how these are making money. And with no offense to horizontals, but I make lots of movies that just don't make any money. And they don't know how to make money at all. So I think that's the really exciting thing about all of this is it's a new dawn for a lot of different things. And there's an adventure to be had with making these.
I couldn't agree more. And what I love new young filmmakers getting into the space is that, you know, they can raise $10, $20, $30,000 and make an amazing concept. And maybe they just make less episodes and they're making a very intriguing, decent vertical versus, you know, as a young filmmaker that's never made a movie before, you give them 20 grand to go out and shoot a full movie. It's going to be a bigger mountain to climb. And, you know, it is what it is, right? So to have that opportunity to enter this space, as far as I've known and people I talk to, nobody really cares what camera you're using in this space. I know Sony FX3 seems to be dominating from my conversations I have with people, but I also know professional platforms that are farming out their verticals to people using iPhones making these, you know, it's fine. In fact, a company that I was listening to a panel at NAPI this past year in Miami, and they were talking about verticals, and they actually did an experiment. It's an international platform, and they shot half of their movies, their slate, with Sony FX3 and the other half with an iPhone 16. And they said the viewership did not change at all across their slate. Same viewership, same numbers, didn't matter.
Wow.
Yeah, to me, it's about the ease of actual filming. You know, sometimes it's actually easier to shoot on something like the FX3 because it's more stable in a way. You can attach microphones to it. You can have a lens that is, you know, 100, 200 millimeters if you want to. You could do lots of different things. We shot ours on an A7S3, which is pretty much the same exact. It is the same sensor as the FX3. So, and I was never wanting for more. It was great. It was 24 to 105, so we could always just be wide, or we could be really close up and nice and compressed. For color correction, it was great, you know, but if you know what you're doing, any camera, you can do any camera. It really doesn't matter.
I love the style that you brought to it with the cool zoom tricks and all of that. It's like that's become this like almost vertical art form of these little, I noticed there's like a standard library of like 10 different sound effects they use in verticals that you hear all the time. So to that point, using cameras, I think allows you to elevate it a little bit. But I would also say if you're thinking about making one and you only have access to an iPhone, go make it. Go make it.
Especially with people coming straight out of college with maybe not an education on set, doing that with $20,000, $30,000 in your iPhone, the way you're going to learn is, I mean, consuming, yes, and educating and watching, yes. But you don't really like physically learn until you're on that set. So just being able to do that is just such an advantage point to young people.
Yeah, and you're going to use those, I don't want to say weaknesses, right? Because there's great things for other things. The phone can get in a lot of different spaces. It can be shot in a lot of different ways. I mean, you can just put it in a microwave and then open it up, and then hey, what a cool shot. I mean, even if you just think about the vertical shot of it, the frame within a frame, how cool is that? My problem with the iPhones is they just don't have a lot of storage, and the managing of the actual media is a circus where it's so easy with the FX3. You just pop it out, do that. But you do need to make sure your sound is good. That is something that people aren't going to forgive, because we watch it like this, and we want to be able to hear it, or we have headphones on. We don't want to have to work to get the information that we need to get. So make sure your sound is good. And even that, even if you were filming with an iPhone like this, guess what? Just take another iPhone and record it right here. I mean, that's as easy as you can get. Everyone has a phone. You can go buy a cheap phone. Go get an iPhone, 12 for $100 somewhere, and just voice record during it. And then you have the audio, and then you have the video. I mean, it's just, there's nothing that should be stopping you now from creating things. Really, it's just the idea. And you just have to have the idea. And once it hits you, nothing really should be able to stop you, because everything's there. But there's a lot to be said for craft also. There's craft in editing, there's craft in acting and casting and all those different things. So just developing your craft in general is going to be your secret sauce to making this a success.
Do you find the editing process with verticals different in the sense of, are you, from everything you may have learned in editing, right? And where to do a cut or what to do, is it now like, oh, well, I got to do this differently? Or is there a different approach to it? Because I heard from somebody that said if I was to make a vertical right now, I would hire a director from horizontal space, a writer from a horizontal space, blah, blah, all down the line. They said, but I would hire the experienced vertical editor for the editor, because there is a big difference. And I don't know, I'm asking, do you find that to be a big difference?
The difference, because if I put on my editing hat, I haven't really edited for someone else shooting a vertical yet. I shot it and I directed it. So it makes it super easy because I shot it for the edit. I know exactly where things are supposed to go. I know, this crash zoom when she slaps is going to match your crash zoom when you fall down, and are bleeding everywhere, that type of thing. So in my head, it goes in the same space as whatnot. It's just punchier. It is, you don't have time to sit around and be an A24 movie and let it just, you're not going to stay on one person for 3 minutes. There's no 3-minute wonders. It has to be punchy. You got to get the information, and you have to end each episode with the turn, or with the hook. And so I think narrative people can do that. Don't think that, but you want to find the editor, or you want to be the editor that is excited about it. And I think that's the big difference for me in the workflow, is usually you finish a scene and then it's like, thank goodness, I will reward myself with doing some of the stuff that's not creative. And this is really deep editing stuff, but I finish a scene and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to mentally rest. So I'm going to go build just the sections of the next scene, which makes it easy. Oh, okay. They're in the hallway just for this little section. Okay, so I'm going to place that there. And then they're in the kitchen here. Here's A cam and B cam. So I don't have to think about anything. Where with verticals, you get done with an episode and then it's like, oh man, you got to get right into the next episode. You can kind of build it the same way, but it's almost like the correct way of doing things, because you can export that episode then, and it's like, oh, that worked. You have like a button to the music, the big riser at the end, and then it cuts off, and you can go view it, and you kind of get that satisfaction from the episode instead of just, I got a scene done and then on to the next one. So I think it's more fun sometimes to edit the verticals. Plus the music choices, you don't have to be so, it's hard, but when you're picking out the music, it's like, all right, this 10 seconds has to be the dumpy comedic music, but then it turns into a crying scene, 20 seconds later. All right, you gotta be in and out with your music a lot more. And I mean, could you imagine doing an A24 movie like that? No way. No, that's not gonna happen.
Very, very similar to what you were saying earlier about YouTube. When YouTube first came out, I mean, I know for traditional filmmakers, when we were watching YouTube videos with all the jump cuts, it was like, what are they doing? But that became a YouTube style, and it's very normal. If I was doing, let's say, an unboxing video 5-6 years ago, I would never in a million years do jump cuts of myself. But now if I were to make one today, I'd be filled with jump cuts.
Transition. Transition out.
That's right. Yeah, and even just the sound of the unboxing, people love it, the
ASMR.
Yeah. You got to give yourself a time limit, because these verticals, they'll never be perfect. They'll never be complete. They just have to get released. So it's it's easier with verticals because it's not like, hey, oh my goodness, this is my one baby. I've been dreaming of making this my whole life. You don't really get as much romanticizing for it over that. But I think that helps in a lot of ways because now you're just thinking about, oh, does that work for the audience? Okay, great. Ship it. It doesn't have to express you as a person or whatnot. It just has to perform.
I totally agree, which is, it's funny, simultaneously, I'm assuming like editing Runaway Angel, but also finishing up Startup Love. Like
two other films.
There you go. But for the horizontals, it's not going to be like package go. It's like, you're like, okay, polish, right?
Yep.
And yeah, so wow, what a difference. I do love it. And I didn't even think about it until you said it. I do think it's amazing from an editor's point of view to almost like be able to edit a scene, an episode, if you will, and it's done. And
Yep.
like you got that instant satisfaction of something.
I mean,
that's so cool.
How many times we watched Startup Love, for example, right? And it's like every single time you have to make sure that full hour and a half is done. But yeah, like I said, it's 1 minute, 30 seconds. You can sit back and go, click, final. You can write that final, and that one is done. And it is so satisfying for sure. I wish that we could do that, but you just can't do that with movies just because it's one file. And you have to verify it every single time.
What a great way to look at it, though. Amazing. Yeah. Kody, before we sign off, is there anything you wanted to add?
I think I already said it, but the vertical world it's a sandbox that's being paid for. And I think that's what people can get really excited about because we don't even know what jobs are going to exist in the next 10 years. So how can we predict what verticals are going to be in 10 years? But if you want to ride that train and you want to be a part of it, then jump on them and just get to inventing. Just find the things that you want. And it is, right now, it's one of the most lucrative ways you could actually create this type of narrative content. It's a very exciting time for a lot of different people, but it's all about action and execution. And it takes that first pen to paper or typing up a vertical script, and that's technically free. You got to pay for a computer. It's free, and nothing should be stopping you from being able to do it. And then who knows what it'll become, but it's an exciting time in the Wild West of film.
Well, Kody, thank you so much for joining us today on our third episode of Verticulture Podcast. This is becoming a lot of fun. We're learning a lot. We're sharing a lot, and hopefully we get more subscribers. Thank you to our moms for listening, and we thank every one of you, and we will see you soon. Thank you, Kody. Thank you, Gianna.
See you guys.